learn about. All right, there we go. So what I want to do first is I just want to go through something that I've been talking a lot about and consistently working on, and see if I can help out with a pretty consistent problem that we have seen over and over again, not only with myself, but almost everybody that I talk to. It's some phase and sort of their life. So the way that I look at it is, we'll start here. So I talked a little bit about this last week. I love this definition. So this idea of, the employed are punished by having to do what they do not love, and the self-employed are punished by the opposite. So I think anybody who says this is not occasionally punishment is lying. There's just no way that's possible. But it's better, at least for me, than the alternative of working for somebody else. And I'm absolutely clear now, based on kind of what's happened to me this last year and a half with a lot of this transformation I've gone through, starting a separate company, starting back to September 20th, 2020, that there's a unique mindset and type of personality, and just everything's different when you're in this kind of solopreneur world. And I was at a graduation party for these people in my neighborhood, and I love them. They're great, and we're all talking, and they start, talking about their jobs. And it's stuff like, yeah, we may go back in the office, and well, we got this new president. I don't know about that. And, the whole thing. And I just check out, like, I can't relate at all. And then if they say something to me like, how's work going for you? I'm going down such a rabbit hole of like personal spiritual development and social media and branding. Like, there's so many things that I'm doing and I'm excited about it. And they're not. They're just like looking for, the stability of the job. So what I'm starting with is what I want my life to look like in multi-dimensions. And this has become really important because I know I have optimized businesses like the other business, usually for business performance and business outcomes. And then I get there and then I'm not happy with what I did because it took me where I didn't really want to go, but I got where I wanted to get, or I thought I wanted to get. So we created 4 dimensions. And this is, I won't go through the details, but it's personal life, vision realized, joy of work, and security and stability. So the next step after this is you pick 5 of these that are critical and say, I'm going to live these right now. So some are obviously destination and aspirational, but I'm thinking of it as, I'm going to be in a connected marriage today. I am going to be an expert in solopreneur success today, not necessarily the biggest global expert in the world, but that's not the point. I'm going to do it right now. Now, when I understand what those 5 things are, I can start optimizing all my plans to do that. And that's kind of what I'm saying. So what we noticed here, and we talked about this last week, and I took all of the data. Maybe this is the wrong one. Give me 1 second here. So I took all the data from last week where we list out all the challenges that people have as solopreneurs on our chart. If somebody could mute there, I'd appreciate it. And then I took the information people put in the chat and added it to this tree. So the idea of the tree is getting visibility into what's going on with yourself. Now, this isn't mine. This is kind of like the whole world of solopreneurs that I've identified from so many conversations that I've had, as well as from my own experience. So this is what I found, and I'll take you through this tree if I can get this thing to load. Okay. So all we did was list out all the obstacles and just call them obstacles to make it simple. And then we mapped out cause and effect relationships in these obstacles. And what seemed pretty obvious was this is where the apparent problem is. So I don't feel like I'm making progress towards my goals. And I'm suspicious of claims by coaches and trainers because I've done a lot of this stuff. And, even if they're good, I kind of don't know what to do. So this is stuck right here. kind of going in circles. Well, why? And then what happens next? So what often happens next with me is I'm not making enough money, so I think in terms of sales. So I'm going to do more sales. I don't have enough good clients, so I'm going to do more sales or positioning or targeting or whatever. My goals are moving targets. I'm going to rethink of my goals and how I'm going to do that. I have too many things on my plate. I'm going to buy organizational support or something. And then those things don't work for obvious reasons, because what's causing in this tree the issues is down here. So it reads like, I have many obstacles keeping me from reaching my goals, and I don't know precisely what the impact will be of overcoming any given obstacle. Therefore, I don't know what my most important obstacle is. So that's one branch of the tree. The other branch of the tree, I don't know how to do one thing at a time. That is my problem for sure. I have too many things on my plate, also my problem. Therefore, I'm emotionally overwhelmed when I learn new skills. So all of these things lead up into this mess of obstacles and, for me at least, confusion. Now, this isn't mine. This is sort of a general market one. And it's pretty cool to do this for your market, so you can start to understand your market based on having lots of conversations. And we have a methodology for that framework called Connection Conversation, which I've shared a lot on. So the next phase of this is you pick those 5 kind of destination goals that you're going to optimize everything for, and then solve for this. So I don't know what my most important obstacle is. What I did was I did one of these reality trees for myself based on this to figure out what my most important obstacle is. We saw it right away. We saw a feedback loop was making it worse. In other words, I was making it worse by the solutions that I was putting in place and exacerbating the problem, as opposed to really fixing the real problem, which was knowing what I need to solve for first and what's most important. And then what happens with this is you break this conflict up here without even breaking it. So no longer suspicious. It doesn't matter. Know exactly who to hire, what to do, if anybody, and feel like I'm making progress towards my goals. So obviously over the next, few months or so, we're going to keep talking about next steps. So what do you do? How do you go to the next level with this? How do you move yourself forward more quickly? All those kinds of things. So before we get started, does anybody have any kind of comments or questions about this approach? And then we'll start talking to Estie. Nothing? Okay. All right. So Patricia, if you could just spotlight the 2 of us, that would be helpful. And what we want to talk about and start is and we'll go wherever it ends up going, right? But I'd just like to start with this idea of starting over. And I looked at my own kind of situation. Hello and welcome. I looked at my own situation, and I've probably started over 8 or 9 times. If I think about starting over as going into new markets or new industries, I've just done this consistently over many years. And I know you've had similar kinds of experiences. So do you want to just sort of introduce yourself first, of kind of who are you and where do you come from?
Sure. Estie Starr. Where do I come from? That's a long question. I like to say my day job is just helping business owners earn more money with less headache. That's my job. I spent the last 12 years building a multinational consulting firm that services micro businesses. So anything you'd imagine a Fortune 500 company gets from like a Deloitte McKinsey, we do for solopreneurs to 20-person companies: strategy, marketing, systems and operations, hiring and staffing, financials and projections, pitches, sales, coaching, kind of full service consulting, specialty in organic marketing strategy. And I am on the 4th version, like the 4th full version of this company. It's been through a couple of iterations, which I know we're going to talk about. One of them included a full marketing agency arm. We're now doing the consulting firm and a business school. So yeah, fun times. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and now I live in Los Angeles, California.
So where did the self-employment part start? Why did you do that to yourself?
That's such a great question. So then we have to go even farther back. I started my first profitable business when I was 10 years old, and it was like legit business. I made like Mexican string name bracelets. You know, the kind where like it's like you roll it. Yeah. So those were very trendy in elementary school. And I learned how to make them. And I'm like, hey, I could sell these. And then I have my old stuff I made on a typewriter, order forms. I calculated my cost of goods sold, even though my parents bought my materials. That was just me. It's like in me. So I've had some form of side business since I'm 10. All right. I went to business school on a full scholarship because I told them about my note copying business in high school. That was my essay for my scholarship for college. And yeah, I always had these like side hustles, but I also had a full-time job because I am very risk averse by nature. Yeah, I believe most entrepreneurs are actually more risk averse than risk takers. The most stable companies are not built by risk-taking entrepreneurs. Most stable companies, which is the majority of businesses out there, are built by people who are risk averse, who want to build something stable they can rely on. And so let's fast forward a little bit. In my mid-20s, I was working as a CIO of a multinational nonprofit. Loved my boss, loved my job, had flex time, which was great because I had 3 little kids at the time. I now have 5, not as little kids. And they hired this middle manager who was super toxic. Like I would just, in those days, I was not a crier. Now we do whatever. Emotions are free. But in those days, did not cry. And I was coming home crying every day. This guy was horrible. He like took my team, took my trip. I was supposed to go to Moscow, Argentina. He's like, no, you're my new secretary. It's like, I'm the new leaving person. Bye. And I'd already gotten trained as a coach. I was already working on the side. And I had this dream, I had this crazy dream. I was in my 20s, okay? And I wanted to build a business consulting firm in my 20s. This is over 12 years ago. I just dated myself, right? This is before everyone and their brother's dog walker sister-in-law was a business consultant and coach, okay? No one did this. When I would tell people what I was trying to do, they're like, okay, but why would anyone hire you? The mentality then was that you either had it or you didn't. Business owners were either made of a different ilk, they were made of something else and they figured it out, or they didn't, and then they should be employed. It wasn't like today where you knew you could learn it and this was a skill and this is something people guide you in. It wasn't a thing. But I had this crazy dream. I would be sitting in cafes and I would overhear people talking like, oh my God, you're so talented. You should sell your cupcakes for like $1 each. It'll be amazing. And I'd be like, oh my God, like I can help you. I've been doing this for so many years, right? I could turn anything into money. And at one point when I left my job, I ran hip hop dance exercise classes. I love to dance. My instructor at the local gym was out on maternity leave. I'm like, I had no qualifications, so the gym wouldn't hire me. So I rented a studio, put up some ads, and I ran classes and got it all paid for. I'm like, whatever, I could turn anything into money. Always, it's just my thing. But could I build a company? And I did, right? It took a couple of years, but we built it, multinational. By 2019, we were 6 continents, staffed in like 7 time zones. We were all over the world. We were running 3 different companies within the one company. But the real push, well, the universe just had to literally shut me out the door of my job. Like I wasn't going to leave. I had this dream. I wanted to do it. I was doing a little on the side. And the universe was like, get out, go. You have to do this. You have a mission. You have things you need to do. Things that spurred it were the place I was working had a really low glass ceiling. And so it was challenging for me to give my gifts in the way I wanted and be compensated and recognized in the way I wanted. And then when I went looking for new jobs after that middle manager came in, I wasn't finding anything that fit. I wasn't finding anything that would give me my trifecta, right? The intellectual stimulation, the payment, and the flexibility. I was like, the only way is to do my own thing. And I was so passionate about everyone doing their own thing. At the time, it like dovetailed, if that makes sense.
It's so interesting, the conflict that you went through between the security and stability and this natural tendency at 10 years old to go make money. and try new things. But it does make a lot of sense. And I think I'm pretty risk averse too, even though I'm taking major risks all the time. Um, if you think about that situation, if times were different, because I think the mentality has evolved quite a bit, do you think you would have just stayed in that company if they had given you what you wanted, or would you just inevitably have gone out and build it yourself?
No, I think I would have stayed and I would have done it as a side hustle. I don't think I'd have become who I am. I don't think I've been able to change the lives I've changed. The
Yeah.
universe had, I was so, but comfort's an illusion, right?
Yes.
The things that we're used to feel comfortable, they're just an illusion. They can disappear at any second. But I was really terrified. I was the sole provider of my family. I was really, really nervous. I had no idea what I was going to do. It had to get so bad for me to quit. I don't know. Yeah, they weren't going to fire me. I don't think they were going to fire me. I was like, I had created all of their systems, all of their database and architectural systems in the entire company. When I left, I stayed on for 6 months in a consulting capacity to help them transition, because no one knew how
No one knew how the system
No one else
worked.
knew how it worked. Right? The guy who demoted me to secretary, he had no idea how it worked.
Yeah. Well, bye.
Exactly. I was like, have fun. Enjoy Moscow.
I get emotional in these conversations, and this is kind of every time I talk to you, this kind of happens, because I'm absolutely convinced, because of my own experiences with this, that there is, I don't completely know how to explain it except to say what I've own experienced. Now, this is not stuff I've learned intellectually, but there is some kind of a destiny. There's some kind of a connectedness around having to do things. And I have a quote I put out in my newsletter today, and now I don't remember what it is, but it was saying that we don't really we fight against that uncomfortableness, that idea of the uncertainty, but it's the destiny, so we have to go down it. There's almost like if you fight it, then you're screwing yourself, because it's not going away, because this is universal kind of power, like behind these uncomfortability. But then at the same time, if you lean into it, it's really hard. And then, you're not getting a check anymore. So I wonder how you think about it, because I know you think a lot about this kind of stuff too, and have experienced this as well.
So I have so many thoughts, right? I believe that being an entrepreneur is the most financially secure you can be. It's not the most financially stable. Okay, paychecks are more stable, but they're far more insecure. You're dependent on someone else's success. You're dependent on finding favor in someone else's eyes, that they'll keep you on, they'll pay you. That's not secure. That's not secure. It's disempowerment, right? The most empowered place you can be is when you know you can turn anything into money. You know that whatever is out there, whatever's happening, you can create income. That's the most secure you can be. Now it goes up and down, but when you learn the business frameworks, and that's why what I teach are foundational frameworks. I teach how they apply to current trends and tactics and everything that's going on, but it's foundation. I just got an email from a guy 2 days ago who was in one of our first online program cohorts in the beginning of 2019. He's like, hey, I'm trying to get into the academy, but it's not working for me. Can you help? 3 years later, people are still trying to go back to the material. It still works. It still works. Adam is one of my students. I don't know if you can testify. This stuff works. It works years backwards, years forwards. So that's what I think about security. When you can really turn things into money and you know how. That's why to me, strategy and knowledge is so important. You're secure. You know what you need to do. Then it's just a matter of doing it. So that's one piece. For me, like I said, I'm on my 4th version, and each time I was ready to do something else, right? When I left my job, I was ready to take another job. I took on 3 different things at the same time. I tried to launch this business. I worked for the Mobile Marketing Association in sales support, and I worked with a business brokerage company doing business brokerage. And obviously, not necessarily. And those 2 things, I found out that I don't like being a broker, right? I hold that there are 5 different types of entrepreneurs. One of them is the deal maker. Those are the people that are brokers and Amazon sellers and insurance agents. Not me. That is not my personality. I did not like I have a client now who loves the thrill of the chase. She loves the hustle. She loves crafting the deal and finding the deal. I hated the haphazardness of it. I could work 3 weeks on a deal, have it fall through, work 1 week on a deal, have it be triple the first one from 3 weeks that did nothing. I like direct remuneration for my efforts. I put this in, I get this out. That is like my zone. When I moved to LA, I started over again. I started the company in Jerusalem, living in Jerusalem for 10 years, moved to Los Angeles about 8 years ago. And I was ready to take a job. I actually interviewed at my kids' elementary school because I can do anything pretty much. Like the Catch Me If You Can guy, like just put me somewhere. I'm going to a festival this weekend, and I ended up somehow in the leadership group of the like exclusive glamping ground. And I'm leading meditative breath work on magnetizing effortless abundance into your life. Because have I done it before? No, I can't. I interviewed at my kids' school, and they told me the salary. I was like, it'd be cute to like be around my kids, whatever. We had just moved. I looked at the numbers, and I'm like, if I get one client and I work like 1 hour a day, I will make this salary.
Right.
It's just not, I'm not doing it. Which is the comparison was like, no way. And then again, these last 2 years I've had, you can only call it a dark night of the soul. I went through divorce, huge transition, transformation. And again, I was ready. I was like, okay, what else should I do? And everything pointed to continue doing this just at the next level. So I just feel like I'm constantly, I agree with that so much, right? We are guided in the direction we need to go. And as they say, resistance is futile, right? You
Right.
can resist it and go slower and crankier, or you can just like chill and roll with it because that's what's in front of you.
That was the quote. It was resistance is futile.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah,
funny.
that was the
Okay.
quote. We were talking about it yesterday in our Summit Club group. It was the same thing. It's that Carl Jung has a version of this. So the idea is the more you resist, the more that thing comes and destroys you. So you can't really do much about it except just to go with what you're supposed to be doing. There's sort of no other way. What you said about principles is really interesting, and it kind of goes back to why I'm obsessed with this theory of constraints kind of system with these trees and cards and stuff, because of how well it works. Because when Goldratt discovered this stuff, which we're applying now to being a solopreneur in a new way, he realized that to get to the root heart cause of anything in a business is the only way to really solve the problem. But we're not geared like that as humans biologically to do that. You know, we're geared to like run around and fight fires and stuff. So I'm curious, when you think about, you know, fundamental principles, do you have a framework in terms of how you organize those or talk about them? I'm sure you do, but what are the fundamental principles?
I've got a bunch of them. So I could give you fundamental marketing principles. I can give you fundamental business principles. Like for me, it's always about that. It's how do we distill it? What's the thing that's been forever that will be forever that I can gift you with?
Right.
Because if I just teach you something today, especially I do a lot of marketing and specifically organic marketing, although paid changes just as fast. But one of my biggest things is how you get more for less, right? I've always had limited time and limited resources for so many years that it's like that piece of leverage, right? Knowing how to get more for less is so significant in my world. So let's say foundational marketing framework. Yeah. Marketing, real marketing, the way people think about it is actually, in my opinion, branding, marketing, and sales. It's a blend of the three. There are 10 moving parts. I'm not going to go through them all right now. But they overlap in this kind of like triple Venn diagram. Yeah. So you've got like branding, marketing, sales. I need a third hand. I don't have one. I really think, by the way, as a mom, commercial break, that females should grow an arm with every child they give birth to. I think that would be, first of all, no one have to ask you how many kids you have, or if you have children. You just look at people and be like, oh, she's got 3. You know, I have 5. They'd be like, oh, she has 5. And then you'd have an extra hand to take care of every extra human that you bring into the world. I think that'd be super helpful. Maybe when they turn 18, it goes back in. I don't know. But like, anyways, that's just one of the thoughts I've had. And I don't do drugs. This is by myself. So branding, marketing, sales with my third hand that I do not have, even though I should have 5 extras. The target is the overlapping part. Everything in business is about the people you're providing value to. That's foundation. And then when you're trying to build out your marketing, You need branding. You need something that makes you stand out, that makes you unique to that target, to those people, right? That people forget this. Like, oh, I'm building a great brand. Do your people like it? Do they care? Do they recognize it? Does it stand out to them among the competitors that they see, right? This competitive brand positioning. Today, if you're a local supermarket or massage therapist, you're in a global marketplace. Everybody is. How do you stand out? That's your brand. Overlaps with your marketing, which in my opinion is what you sell and how you communicate that value to people, right? So it's how you get people's attention for the right offer. That's in marketing, right? Traditional marketing mix, product, price, place, promotion. I have 7 pedals. Those are just 4. Because it's gotten more complex. The product is part of your marketing. So many people come, they're like, okay, I'm selling this thing. Now, who should I sell it to? No. First to the people. Then what do they want from you? Not, I've got a thing, right? This is what's part of what's so backwards out there right now. I was like, okay, I got to build my online offer. So, okay, I need a $12 offer and then a $97 offer and then a $297 and then a $5,000 high ticket. I'm like, that's adorable, but that doesn't work for everybody. No, but I took the course by this guy and he showed how it worked for 5 of his 3,000 students. Oh, I hear. Okay. Guys, yeah, I'm not saying it'll work for no one. I'm just saying it doesn't work for everyone. You might only need a $12 offer, or only need a $5,000 offer, or only need a $10,000 offer, or only need a $200 offer. I have no idea yet. It's all so personal. And then you need to end this with sales. Again, for your people. Everything is with that overlap. So many people, so they get the brand, they figure out the uniqueness, they get their marketing, they get their offers, and then they have no idea how to close deals. That's the trifecta. Right? You get all this attention, but you can't close. I was one time helping out a friend who was running an event here in LA. And in the same way he got my help, he got someone else to give him a list of 16,000 people local. He was running a local event here. And so I helped him with the email copy and the whole thing. And we got like a 25% open rate on a cold list because thanks. But then we got almost no clicks because no one wanted to go to his thing. Right? 3 people bought it, which is not bad, right? It's not terrible, but nobody wanted the thing. He's like, okay, I need to get more emails. I'm like, no, you need more emails is not going to do this. We're not closing. We're getting attention. Nobody wants this. This is not positioned well. This is not interesting. I can get everyone to open your emails, but no one's going to buy it. Got to change the thing you're selling. I said, we're hitting the wrong people. He's like, no, these are definitely the people. I said, then okay, then they don't want this. Change it. Change what we're selling, change how we're explaining it, right? Understanding these frameworks, you can immediately identify what's not working. Where's the hole in the process? But if I were to give you one foundational principle, the only one thing that you ever need to know that is the seed of it all, business is an exchange of value for value. You're like, thank you, Estie, queen of the obvious. But you have to remember this. If you want value from somebody else, you need to be giving value to that person, and it needs to match their value perception. That's it. That is the essence of everything. There's everything else is gravy. You have an exchange of value for someone, they will give you value back. Now it's got to be the right person. It's got to be the right level of exchange. It's got to make sense. It's got to match. And when there's a mismatch, that's when it doesn't work. Right? So you're asking for too much value to what you're offering. You're not presenting the value proposition properly within your space. There are too many other offers to make it, but that's all it is. That's the essence. Everything else is just extrapolations and explanations.
And my hypothesis with all of that is that it's not even enough if someone has not adopted principles of thinking that are also foundational. So the idea of being a detached observer of yourself, of your life, of your market, accepting the incompleteness of not knowing, and being uncomfortable, being able to not judge, not have to be right, like all those kinds of things become really important too. How do you see that kind of stuff from your point of view fitting into training or working with, people who are kind of coming into this and maybe have not had to go through that kind of transformation because they work for other people or they just never
Yeah.
did for whatever reason.
I would say that that transformation just makes everything better. It's not that you can't build a business without it. We've all seen people who are earning buckets of money who are lacking
Yeah.
all of these soft skills. So it's not that you can't, but those people are miserable. They're super stressed. Their bodies are falling apart.
That was my
They
experience.
they can barely breathe. They have heart attacks by 52, if not sooner, sometimes in their early 40s or less.
Yeah.
So they're super successful. What's your definition of success? Right? Without these foundational living principles. So to me, these just make the road so much smoother, so much more pleasant, so much less stress. Can you do without them? You can do it, but what's it? If all you want is money, yeah, okay, fine. That's not that hard. But if you want to enjoy the process, you want to enjoy your life, you want to enjoy this business, you want it to feel good. And I'm very growth oriented. Like if there's a day that I grow, I'm good. There's day, I don't know there are any days I don't grow. Because I track it. I journal every morning and every night, right? Like what's my anticipation for today? What am I excited about today? And then what did I learn today? What was great about today? Every single day. So I'm clocking it. Yeah. If to me, and this is just one of my foundational values, which is very personal. Values are very personal to each of us. If you're not growing, you're dying. We're organic beings. Anything organic that doesn't grow is dying. Life is a downward escalator. You're not walking up, you're going down. It's just automatic, right? There's so much. So these are foundational. And when you learn them, so a lot of my work with my entrepreneurs I've been studying quantum physics, quantum mechanics, neuroscience, epigenetics, consciousness for the last like 3-4 years, 4 years now, actually. So I have part of what makes my stuff work is that it's layered with like quantum mechanics,
right?
Stuff. It's built in. I just had someone, here's a great example. I just had someone came to me, she needed systems. She needed systems, she needed systems, she needed systems. I was like, okay, you also need marketing. No, I'm a marketer. I'm like, okay. So we go through her marketing also, and she's like, oh, I did. Yeah, right. Okay, I get it, right? Because you think you have it, but there's so many layers to it. I can see, I'm just doing this for so long. I've clocked my 20,000 hours at this point. And then she's like, I need systems. And what we figured out together is that she likes to be busy. She likes to be overwhelmed, right? Distracts her from inner child wound and her current reality. And so I said, I can make you all the biggest systems, but let's just put it on the table. Until you're comfortable with the quiet, you won't have it. I'll build it for you. And you'll keep finding that you can't follow it. And then you'll blame me because you can't handle the quiet. She's like, oh, those are the soft skills. Right. And that really goes back to your tree when people don't even know the problem they need to solve. She's like, I need systems. So I showed her, we made it so simple. Right? I was a CIO for 6.5 years. I speak geek, I do database architecture. I'm a systems person. It's how I run things. We built out super simple, streamlined, effortless systems for her with staffing and hiring and delegation, making the thing work. And then she's like, okay, but I need systems. I was like, no, what you need is to not be afraid of the quiet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And, a few years ago, when I was making, 400 grand a year or whatever it is, and just feeling this constant tension and fear and sort of uncertainty and not knowing how to deal with any of that, it wasn't really worth it. And it's not about not making money. So I think people are sometimes confusing that. So it's like two things can be true at the same time or more than two things. So it's like, yeah, I want to make a lot of money, but on the other hand, what's the cost to it? And the ability to see myself differently, to be where I'm at, all of that kind of stuff for me was really life-changing, and kind of leaning into all that was really, really important. But then you've got to build these skills in the market as well. And one of the things I think you did really well is with social media. And, I'm curious just to get your take on, I know you did it and then you stepped away from it. And I don't know when you're going back to it, but what's that story all about?
Social media. I consider social media a party, right? Your website, that's your house, your store, people come to you. Social media is a 24/7 party. Every platform is a different kind of party, right? I was dabbling in social media in the early days. I actually was a very late comer to the game. I didn't even get on Facebook until, I don't know, to 2014, maybe, like late in the game. I'd been running my business already for a couple of years before I even started on it. And then I dabbled in Instagram, and I couldn't really figure it out because I made the same mistake that so many people make on social media, which is that I was posting the things that I thought I wanted to share. Not what anybody. I was like, oh, okay, so Facebook will be a this, and my LinkedIn will be this, and my Instagram will be like good and bad marketing things. And like, I thought that was the most brilliant thing ever. Nobody cared. Nobody liked it. It was just not what it was about at all. Without the understanding in those years that it was a party, right? So I would just like pop in, put up my little sign, pop out. No likes, no comments, or no followers. When I figured out this party piece, it was when all my social media took off. I got really, really big on LinkedIn. I think I have over 20,000 followers. I get like 100 new ones still like every week to 2 weeks. And I haven't been on in like 2 years. And people still remember me. I still get messages. Hey, Estie, you used to be on LinkedIn. Didn't you? Like, we miss you. And I fell in love with LinkedIn. It's a networking event. I love networking. Yeah. I love talking business. It works much better for me. I kicked off my Instagram also, but I had more help with my Instagram. I had a member on my team who I trained in who was very Instagrammy, who like helped translate my vibe into Instagram language. But LinkedIn, I did all myself. And I loved it. I loved hanging out there. And for me, it was all about providing value to the people there. That's what social media is. You know, and there's different ways you can do it. Stepping out of it when my divorce coincided with the like kickoff of COVID. So the timing was just excellent on many levels and extra challenging on many levels for the same reason. And I was very uncomfortable with my transition. My entire identity was wife, mother, business owner. And suddenly I wasn't a wife. And suddenly I wasn't like, I'm always a mother. But to me, not having my children with me every day, which was the entire reason I started my business, right? The essence of me as a business owner was to have the flexibility to be a mother and support my family while my husband, ex-husband now, was studying. So everything just bottomed out. It was like, I don't have any reason to do this anymore. I don't have any reason to be here anymore. I have no motivation to be here. And who am I? I didn't know I was. I just kind of went into hiding. I was like, I'm very, very authentic. I think it's part of what made my social media work. And today, when we are just more and more disconnected through our technology and through the last, 2 years of so many people being in so much isolation, we use the internet for that connection. And so the more authentically human you are, the more people are attracted to you. Because that's what they're seeking. They're seeking authentic connection, even in this pseudo state. Yeah. And for me, I was always authentic. I couldn't do it because my authentic said, this is all BS. This is BS, this whole building a business to have freedom and a great life and be with your kids. Bullshit. Like I can't. I was so mad. And what am I going to do? And I don't believe in airing your dirty laundry, going in like ranting. Never talked about my divorce in public, except to talk about it from my experiences, right? And growth and guidance. I do a monthly webinar on a group of people called Divorce with Integrity. But I'm not going to go out there and be like, it's horrible and I cry every day and I don't know who I am. Like, you don't do that, right? The rule on social media is you can talk about your pain once you're over it. That's the rule in everything. You can talk about your challenges once you've overcome them, which is why on my podcast,
I think
she froze up.
Estie, you froze up there. There you go. You're back. Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, I like do funny moves to like see when I come back. And I don't know where you lost me.
So it was, you were talking about being kind of waiting until you get over something.
Oh yeah. So you don't want to go out when it's raw. That's not when you want to be out there.
Yeah.
And especially not on social media. People forget what you've said 3 seconds later, but they always remember how you feel and they remember their perception of you. So you go out like a super hot mess, they're just going to remember you as a super hot mess. Like that's it. And that was also, even though I was living it, it still wasn't my identity. I was just in this like crisis zone of like, who am I and what am I and what am I living for? And why did I do all of this if it didn't even work? And how can I be out here teaching and preaching for other people to do something that doesn't work? It was like, and there was no logic in that, right? It was just all my emotional pain. So I pulled back, and I haven't. Oh, Karen said that I was talking about podcasts, right? So I was mentioning I have a podcast for the last 4 years, and one of the things I do on my podcast is I ask people to give me a current challenge, because everyone talks about their past ones, and I just try to, get people a little vulnerable. Tell me a current one. Tell me something that we can relate to that you're still dealing with. And that's in all my podcasts, which is also on hold right now. So yeah, I pulled back because social media is not the be all and end all. It's one method of promotion. Businesses ran before social media. That's the thing. There were businesses before social. There were other means for promotion and communication, and I just went to other channels because. And now that I've looked at going back, I have a strategy to reemerge. I know what it's going to look like. And just didn't feel ready yet. So I just didn't do it.
Yeah. When you're ready, you'll be ready.
Yeah. And I like that. To me also, it helps me to guide my clients and my students. This is optional. Everyone feels so much pressure. You have to do it. You have to do it. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't. You can. There's certain things that are pretty baseline if you want a level of professional presentation. There are no have-tos.
So Rob, we've got a couple hands up here. So why don't we get a few other people up here with their own kind of opinions. So I think Rob was first, Patricia, if you could spotlight him. And then anybody else who wants to weigh in, feel free to raise your hand.
Hey, Estie, first of all, you are a New Yorker. I'm Huntington, Long Island. And then moved to Buffalo, then to Arizona. So yeah, and if anyone out there doesn't understand how New Yorkers are, this is your typical New Yorker, and now in LA. So I fully relate to what you're doing. I think one of the things that, especially when you started, things that people need to understand when they're first doing business is their value proposition, which is that center point of branding, marketing, and sales. If they don't, and this is the first thing I work with every business owner is, what is your value proposition? And most of the time they have it wrong. And because they're speaking in their voice, not in their customer's voice. And that's one of the things that, and this is what I said, and Sajad and Jeff are going to say, God, Rob said this every time. Damn, I'm tired of hearing it. Go out to your 3 best clients. Ask them, what value did you bring that you expected? What value did you bring that you didn't expect? And what's the best thing about working with you? Those first 2 are just lost leaders to get them talking. It's that third one that's a hook. I did this with an insurance inspection company. They've been around for 40 plus years. Father-son team. I said, why do people work with you? They said, we have the best time, service, quality. Time, service, quality. All right. I walked out to their 3 best clients, asked them why they work with them. I said, like, insurance inspections, dime a dozen. Why do you work with these guys? And they said, well, Rob, in this industry, insurance, there's always going to be problems. And when there are problems, we know we can call or email them and find out what happened, who's involved, and how to make sure it doesn't happen again, and get back to us within 24 to 48 hours. I was like, that sounds like good customer service and communication. Yep, they do it. Not a lot of other people do. I asked all 3, what about time, service, and quality? They all said the same thing. If you're not doing time, service, and quality, you're not working in this industry. So we changed the value proposition from time, service, and quality that everyone else in the industry was beating their chest about to, we have the best customer service and communication. When there are problems, and there will be, we'll be either with you, we'll fix them fast, and we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. That next year, they grew 26%. After that, 63%. So I think the very first thing that everyone needs to understand is make sure you're speaking to the market in the market's voice. And I think that, and you covered so much, and thank you so much, because you covered so much in such a rapid fashion that I think people might have gotten blinded. And a lot of stuff in business, and let me know if you agree, it's all common sense. I mean, I wrote a sales book for business owners, and the theme throughout the book is all the stuff I'm telling you is common sense. You already know this, but when common sense becomes common practice, that's when you find success.
I like that quote. When common sense. I like to write things down. All those stickies, that's my 3rd sticky that backed out the other walls. So I put them on stickies and I hang them on the wall. They're quotes, motivational sayings, things like that. Common sense becomes common practice. That's when what? You find
That's
success.
When you find success. Yeah, you have to give me credit the first 3 times.
I am. I'm writing down Rob.
Then after that, yeah, Bedell. Then after that, it's yours.
No. I believe in credit. all the time. All my stickies, if they're quotes, they actually have where I got it from, whether
Yeah.
it was a book or a human or an interaction. And I have Estieisms. I have things that I've just made up. Those are mine.
Yeah.
But no, I'm a big believer. I once had a mentor who I like said something to, and then I saw him do this whole YouTube video with my thing, but he didn't give me any credit. I didn't know if I should be flattered or irritated. I was like, I appreciate that you liked my thing so much that you did a video on it, but did you want to mention that that was mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think especially entrepreneurs, and Larry, correct me if you're wrong, we get so stuck in our heads sometimes, we make things so much more complicated. And it's like sales. What I tell business owners is sales is just simply starting a conversation, productive conversation, to see if there's a reason to work together. You've heard all the other explanations of it. It's strategies. Yes. Is there more to it? Yes. But sales is simply starting a productive conversation to see if there's sales is like the human body, 2 ears, 1 mouth. Ask a question, then let them answer and listen to what they're saying. It's not that complicated. It's really, again, common sense.
Yeah. So one thing I would say with this is that a lot of people lose their common sense when they're in uncharted territory. And that's a lot of what happens psychologically, right? Again, neurobiology, neuroscience studies. So you have your wiring, right? And you know this. Let's use social media as a great example, because I think it's just one of the big confusions out there for small business owners right now in such a major way. If social media is a party, which it is, right? Media is plural for medium. So they are social mediums of communication. That's all these things are, right? If you were at an actual event, would you walk up to a random stranger and be like, hey, I got a thing I want to sell. Do you want to buy it? Here's the thing. What? Would you walk around an event, walk into a party, hold up a sign that says, buy my shit, and then leave, and then do that about once every day or two? No, that's what people do on social media. Like, no common sense, because they can't extrapolate. This is just a party. Show up like you would at an event. Extrapolate. Sales conversation is a conversation.
That's exactly it.
It's a conversation.
And conversations are
get along.
Conversations are 2 ways.
There's two ways. There's a give and take. There's not like a bombardment of like,
lecture.
I gotta tell you all, right? The elevator pitch. I got 30 seconds to talk really fast and tell you all the things so that you buy my stuff. No, that's not what this ever was. And it's that common sense. It doesn't flip, right? You'll see sales conversation. Suddenly the word sales is far and you're like, oh, I must not know this. No, it's just a nuanced form of conversation.
Well, and people think that, sales is a 4-letter word. No, sale, doing anything to get that one sale, that can be a 4-letter word. But sales, which a continual flow of business back and forth, is a relationship. And people should not be afraid of that. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to tackle, is make sure, get rid of everyone being afraid of the word sales. And that's what of my book, the S word, sales, the lifeblood of your business.
Yeah, that's good.
I love it.
Thanks, Rob.
Yeah,
So
thanks, Larry.
Sajad's got his hand up.
Of course, he always just follows
Of course
after
he
me.
does.
You're lucky
Hey,
I'm here.
how are you?
Hey, Larry, what's up, man? All right, I only have one question that's 5 parts. First, a philosophical thing to think about, Estie. There's no such thing as common sense. It differs based on culture. So I spent time in a factory neighborhood, a rich white neighborhood, and I spent 16 years in the hood as a social worker. Common sense differs in different places. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. That was just your conversation with Rob. So if people are stealing your shit, that means you're better than they are. Okay, now my one question with my 3 parts. Those were just my 2 thoughts. Define organic market strategy.
I'm just taking notes on what you said.
Yeah, I'm a genius.
No, I like it. I thought that was a really good insight. Common sense does differ on culture. What is considered common sense in different cultures is very different. It's not across the board. I've also spent time in a number of different worlds. So what organic marketing strategy means to me is that it grows organically, that it is planted properly, right? I compare it, the graphic organizer I use when I teach is a flower. So it's planted properly, it's cultivated, and then it grows naturally. So it needs nurture, it needs care, it needs to be done right. And it's a cohesive whole. And if we were to put that into very technical terms, organic marketing strategy is something that you don't have to pay for, is not paid advertising. Now, you may pay other humans to assist you, but you do not have to pay advertisers The difference between organic and paid, to me, paid is where someone has cultivated an audience and you are paying for access to them. Organic is where you have direct access to your audience and you do not have to remunerate someone else who has gathered them.
All right, my second part of my question. Yeah, I'm Pakistani. I don't pay anybody for anything. I'm like Larry. Let me tell you how you changed my life today. You only said one thing that changed my life, but that's always a big deal. The risk aversion thing was super interesting because the way I put myself out there in the world, it would seem very risky, but I'm actually very low risk. I don't spend a lot of money. Like when people meet me in the world, they think I'm crazy. And then when I date women and they're at their house, they're like, wow, you're really calm. You're like doing laundry. Like in real life, I'm very chill. And I think I'm very low risk actually, but in the world, so that was just an interesting thought. I think I'm conservative. I'm conservative with my money and I'm consistent with my behaviors. So everybody that changes things over and over again, try this, try a blog, try this, try a video, do this. I don't do anything. I just stay to what I know. I don't change my hashtags. I don't follow the best next thing. I think it comes from my dad. He invests in mutual funds. So whether he's winning or losing, he's always winning. And so there's people in the market that they buy and sell. He's like, if you just stay consistent, you'll make 12%, through Vanguard. Whereas you might make more money off of. Anyway, you want to say something about that? Because I'll finish my last thought.
I would just say, I think the translation of a risk is backup plan versus no backup plan, right? So it's not about not changing things, because sometimes not changing could be really risky. So it's not about not changing, being consistent in your methods of behavior. Yeah, one of my Estieisms is that you only become a has-been if you stay the way you have been. That's an Estieism. So if you're never changing, that could be very risky because the world changes, right? Like you've got a favorite t-shirt. It's very low risk, except it starts to get holes in it. You're at risk of sunburn now. It was very low risk of sunburn before, but now keeping that same shirt puts you at risk of sunburn because there's holes in it. So the consistency, the low risk to me is having a backup plan, knowing how things work, and then never doing something more than you can handle, if that makes sense.
Potentially, we got to talk another time. Larry, when we talk later, I want to talk about Larryisms and Sajadisms. Okay, here's my last thing. I think I know yours. I wonder what mine are. Dating versus clients. So before you date, they make a lot of promises, and then 3 weeks later, you find out what it really is. Same thing with clients. They're, oh, I want to do this. I'm going to take over the world. I'm going to work my ass off, blah, blah, freaking blah. And then they're lazy. They're lazy liars. So what I've been trying to do, one of my friends has the biggest networking or marketing company in the UK. I talked to him yesterday, and he's like, you changed your branding. I said, how is my branding changing? He said, every third post you're saying, don't hire me. So apparently that's my new sales method. Don't hire me. So what I'm trying to figure out is how to find the authenticity. I'm sure Larry can give me a process for this. How to find the authenticity in people before they hire me, that they're going to, because I don't care about the money. The money's fine. I'm fine with money. I have money. I want to work with the right people. And so how do you filter out the losers as much as possible?
What's your current intake method?
I'm just awesome and really good looking, and people give me a lot of money.
Okay, so that's your sales method, but what's your intake and filtration process now?
So when I'm meeting with people, I like that question. So when I'm meeting with people, I'm being much more clear. This only came up like 2 weeks ago. So I say I beat people with a big ass stick. You're going to hate me for 6 weeks. You're going to be in love with me in 4 months from now. And, it's business consulting, but it's a different type of business consulting than you do or Larry does. It's intense, intimate, and very mean. And so I think people thought I was being sarcastic about how I was going to treat them. And then one of them told me I needed sensitivity training, and then I fired her because I was like, I don't fucking need sensitivity training. I'm super sensitive, God damn it. So I think like before dating and before letting clients hire me, be more clear that the things I say are, because most people are liars, right? But the things I say, I mean. So if I say something, I mean, it's going to happen if I say it's going to happen. And so just being really clear, and 90% of my clients are females because women are better to work with. And with the males, what I'm telling them is like, you're going to have to do what I say for 6 weeks. And I don't want your opinion about anything. I don't want you to give me advice. I'm not hiring you for advice. And if you follow my program, you'll make a ton of money. That's all you got to do. Just do what I say, you make a ton of money. So what I've been trying to do is just in terms of intake, when they're about to hire me, basically telling them, make sure you want to do this because you know what it is.
Yeah, so I don't like this. I'll tell you why I don't like it.
Most people don't like me.
No, you're fabulous. I don't like your method. It doesn't work. I know why it won't work, and you're telling me it doesn't work, right? So I'm a big believer, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The opposite's also true. If it's broke, fix it, right? This isn't working for you. And one of the reasons it isn't working for you is you're making the classic mistake of most marketers without recognizing it, which is you're just talking about what you want and who you are and what you are. And hey, people, take it or leave it. And if you say you're going to take it, then you should take it. And you're not looking at them, filtering them, checking them. If they're the match, you're putting it out there and letting them figure it out. Why would you do that? They don't know. They don't know. Why would you think they know? You could present yourself as transparent as possible. You will always be a projection of someone else's belief system. They will see in you what they want to see. You need to become the sleuth.
I want to get Robert Butwin up here because we only have like another minute or so, and then we're going to break out for another half an hour for anybody who wants to stay. We'll do small group rooms so people can meet each other. Hey, Robert, how are you?
Thank you, guys.
You know,
Sorry,
I am absolutely excellent. And I think what is it? Estie is how you pronounce your name?
Yeah.
You're brilliant. You know, I can relate to everything that you're saying. I've been a professional networker for a long time. As far back as I can remember, everybody told me I could sell ice to Eskimos. I've never tried to, but I believe I could. I definitely think we should have a one-on-one. I'll put my information in the chat. I don't really have any questions. I've been a successful entrepreneur for 49 years. My whole philosophy is you've got to give before you get. I focus on being of value and service without charging because I focus on collaboration. So I know that you're looking to break into one-on-ones. I just wanted to tell you how brilliant I think you are.
Thanks, Robert. I really appreciate you coming. And you do offer a lot. I'm glad we got a chance to get to know each other too. So an email will go out tomorrow morning. We'll have a photo of everybody in the room. So you have a picture. So I know a lot of people have left now, but we took this earlier. So we'll have a picture of everybody. So reach out to people. Just look at the name, find them on LinkedIn and say, hey, let's talk. It's pretty simple. And then we'll also have the chat notes go out in an email. So you'll be able to track anything that, sort of happen there. Next week, first Thursday of the month, we're just going to do straight networking, sort of 3 groups over the hour. We'll stay on again for another half an hour for anybody who wants to stay, but officially it'll be like an hour. So if you want to come next week. So that's it. Thanks, Estie, for coming and doing this. It was fabulous. It's always great to talk to you. So if anybody wants to stick around, feel free. If you need to go, this would be a good time so we can get a good count.